And Azimio coalition legislators have vowed to rally behind their party leader Raila Odinga in the planned Wednesday demos. Leaders from Kilifi County have vowed to lead demonstrations in the county to rally support for their party leader Raila Odinga against the high cost of living, led by Kilifi Senator Stuart Madzayo, who is also the minority leader in the Senate, and Malindi MP Amina Minyanzi. The leaders have cautioned against police interference, saying it is their constitutional right to protest. However, Ruiru MP Simon Kingara of Kenya Kwanza has warned that the demos will only worsen the economic situation of the country. Mesh Musimbi brings us the highlights.
With the return of the president back in the country,
wawachane na finance bill, wakamatwe wasikamatwe,
a scheduled visit of Iranian president in the country, and Azimio-led citizens consultative rally at the historic Kamkunji ground on Wednesday. The country is about to experience an adrenaline rush of political potency. Despite stern warning that the meeting may not be permitted by Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki, Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition party led by Raila Odinga has vowed to go ahead with the unrelenting wave of anti-government protests.
Server! 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 Server!
Karibu sana baba! It has emerged that Raila decided to dissolve the protests across the country to redeem the demonstrations from being branded an affair of his Luo community.
Taka wa Kenya wote kila mahali, wale wafuasi wa Azimio, wafuasi wa baba na mama na Kalonzo na Malwa na Paranya na Wajakoya na Wairia na Nduritu Murithi wote na wale ambao wameumizwa, hata wale wa Kenya Kwanza ambaye wanataka mabadiliko wanaumia, nyinyi nyote mwalikwa kesho. Nataka mjumuike kesho, muonyeshe ulimwengu mzima ya kwamba punda imechoka.
Mr. Odinga has been on a week-long political drumming spree to sway masses against the rule of the young Kenya Kwanza government, terming it an illegitimate government.
Hawana nafasi ya kuvaa sufuria kwa kichwa na kufanya maneno ya ujinga.
After what was seen as largely successful protest on Friday, Raila's close allies will now take charge of the demonstrations across the country. However, in the new strategy, governors will not take the lead in the protests, with members of parliament slotted to fire up the demonstrations at the grassroots.
You know, circumstances conspire when the subject itself is ripe.
The strategy could pose a serious security nightmare for police amid fears of a possible paralysis that will affect businesses and transport sector.
Imesema katika fungu la kwanza ya kwamba mamlaka katika Jamhuri ya Kenya iko mkononi ya wananchi wa Kenya.
In Nairobi, the protest will be led by Makadara Member of Parliament George Aladwa, who will work closely with his Westlands counterpart Tim Wanyonyi and Embakasi East Babu Owino. Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka is expected to take charge of Ukambani region protest and the signature collection program. NARC Kenya leader Martha Karua is expected to lead the anti-Ruto campaigns in the central Kenya region. She will work with ousted Jubilee Secretary General Jeremiah Kioni and former Murang'a Governor Mwangi wa Iria. In Kisumu Central Member of Parliament Joshua Oron is the main point man for Wednesday's protest, but working closely with Nyando Member of Parliament Jared Okello. In Kisii, Kitutu Church's South Member of Parliament Anthony Kibagendi and his Bomachoge Borabu counterpart Obadia Barongo will lead the charge. Kisii witnessed the biggest protest in the country last Friday, with reports indicating that at least 3 people lost their lives. In neighboring Nyamira, it is understood that ODM National Treasurer Timothy Bosire will lead the charge. The move to delegitimize the Ruto-led administration has since sparked mixed reaction from leaders of Kenya Kwanza government, who even called for quick arrest of Raila Odinga.
Raila Odinga, you are not above the law.
Raila anajua maana ya hiyo, ndio anapiga hizi kelele zote ili Ruto asipate kufanya kazi.
Mimi kwanza nashika huyu mama anaitwa Martha Karua pamoja na Kalonzo naweka ndani. Hawajawahi lala ndani.
Wednesday's demonstration has been earmarked to include several other unsettled groups such as civil groups. Sabasaba demonstrations held at Kamukunji grounds on 7th of July 2023 by Mr. Odinga became the mark of resumption of anti-government protests following the passage of punitive tax measures that will add to already high cost of living. Azimio One Kenya coalition said the rally was meant to seek directions on the way forward from the public on, among other issues, the government's rejection to consider some proposals in the now passed finance bill and VAT increment on fuel products, which they said will push up the cost of living. Azimio la Umoja has gone ahead to announce a raft of resolutions to counter President William Ruto, who snapped their demands over Finance Act 2023. The Azimio team even initiated a nationwide manual and digital exercise to collect signatures to remove President William Ruto and his administration from power and will never engage in bipartisan talks. The ODM leader has insisted that he won the 2022 general elections. The coalition's urgency to resume anti-government protests was also necessitated by the collapse of the 14-member bipartisan talks that were supposed to address, among other things, the high cost of living. Even as the anti-government rallies gain momentum, the Kenya Kwanza government side of bipartisan talks announced the resumption of bipartisan talks on July 4th, inviting Azimio to discuss hiring of IEBC commissioners. Raila's voice comes at a critical time when Kenya is grappling with the forceful enactment of the Finance Bill 2023, which has caused widespread panic and concern among citizens. Many are looking to Raila for guidance and a way to address these pressing issues.
Let us deny Ruto the fuel tax by limiting consumption.
The suspended Finance Act contains imposed significant burdens on Kenyans, and they hope that the veteran politician will provide much needed clarity and solutions. For Maisha Prime, Maisha Television, I'm Mesh Msimbi.